And right now, Boston, it feels like they are very much in control of the situation. And while this is looking like a fantastic turnaround here for Boston.
Great opening by Remix there, spreads early damage. Jazz is insane, by the way.
And look at that! Whoa, nice pick from Dream, though.
This is excellent stuff from the Gladiators here.
That's going to be a nice defense from the Boston Uprising.
We are back ready for the 45th match of the regular season. Welcome back, Blizzard Arena. You guys still with us? Awesome crowd here in the venue. Sold out crowd on Friday as well as Saturday. But don't worry, tickets are still on sale for next week. But we got to start talking about this match. And to do it, we brought in the whole crew. Bren, Crumbs, and Zoe back with us once again. Zoe, we're ending this one with a banger.
We do, indeed. I always love to see any of the LA teams playing here because the crowd is so loud every time we see the Gladiators and the Valiant on stage.
Absolutely. And speaking of the Gladiators, it's time to get your shields up and ready. Please welcome to the stage our first squad in the final matchup. Give it up for the Los Angeles Gladiators.
Oh, coming out with style. I like it.
Honestly, poor execution. 3 out of 10 for me. He didn't continue it. Like, that's a half.
If you want to see the full dance, go to Showforce YouTube channel. For now, though, let's introduce this roster. They're coming into this match sitting at 3-4. They're looking for a tied record. Can they get a big win today? They got a victory over Florida in their last match.
Yeah, I go on all the time about the potential of certain teams, but this is a team that genuinely does have the potential to go quite far. In terms of the raw talent they've got on the roster, the great support duo they've got in the form of Shaz and Big Goose, but also fantastic DPS players, with Shawful kind of rounding it out as the jack of all trades.
Yeah, I tried to get a bit of an insight into the coach's brains the other day, and I asked the coach 5 very specific questions which should have produced 5 very different answers. However, he somehow managed to answer them all with one and the same point, which was teamwork, or rather the lack of it. So I think this is something they repeatedly told me they want to focus on.
And now you have Surefour and Hydration in the starting lineup. I think this is the 2 better iterations of the team, so they're bringing their A game.
We'll keep our eyes out for Asher. The Gladiators have 7 players, 3-star DPS, but it's now time to introduce the squad they're facing off against tonight. Give it up for the Boston Uprising. Kellex the Dane leading the charge for the squad. Boston enters the matchup with a 3-3 record. And after a slow start, they had a massive week 3 going 2-0.
Yeah, they hit their highest high so far by taking down the London Spitfire and by the transitive property that should make them the #1 team in the league. But we don't really care too much about those statistics because then this team has to figure out how to remain so consistent to be able to beat more teams like the Spitfire and not just stumble against other competition.
Yeah, I asked their coach Hawk about their game plan coming into this and what they really want to focus on going up against the Gladiators. He said that the Gladiators have an incredible skilled individuals, Surefour, Hydration, and the likes of that. So mitigating and minimizing that talent is their key to victory.
In general, these players who I'm looking forward to, Gamsu, that guy who was just on your screen there, but he's also Striker, right? This guy performs on a high level day in, day out. Doesn't matter who he's playing against because somehow he always seems to pull out ridiculous stats across the board. Dreamcasper giving us a bit of a wink there, the eyebrows working his magic, but across the board, this team has really fantastic players, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do against Gladiators today.
I want to give a quick shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Meisner. Note's parents are in the crowd today. I almost said Moat. That would have been a terrible name. All right, let's keep going into this game, guys. Talking about playstyles. Zoe, you mentioned Boston. We've seen a few different looks from them. What have you seen from this squad coming into today's match?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest critical point we always brought up here on the desk was they're looking one-dimensional. We saw them going for dive, some more dive, mainly dive actually. Every now and then they tried triple tank, but it wasn't really successful. However, when they played against the Dallas Fuel, they successfully executed that triple tank on Lijiang Tower, map number 5, and won that map in a very convincing fashion.
Yeah, just to dive into this a little bit further, this is actually very promising for a team because, you know, Boston, they come out with a very consistent style, really. They don't really play too badly or too poorly. However, we only really saw them on that one style. So to see that they can pull out these tank compositions on Lijiang Tower when it matters, when it's a bit more comfortable for them, it's very, you know, it's very good to see that they're not just these one-trick teams.
It is a good thing, but I do think that there is a caveat of that being a Game 5, and Lijiang is typically the map that best favors for you to run that kind of strategy. So I don't still expect them to go and diversify when it comes to the first 4 games in a series.
Now, if you've been watching Boston, you know they've had their ups and their downs in Game 5s. What I found very interesting was they put Kalios back in the lineup instead of Note on that Diva. Keep your eyes on that swap as the games play out today. Crumbs, though, what matchups are you looking for in particular? For me, it's all about Dream Casper versus Hydration on these Pharahs.
For me, from as a tank player, the Winstons are such a big deal because the use of Bubble, the use of your leap when you go right in to create space for your DPS matters so much. And Remix versus Gamsu, I think, is where we're really going to see the bread and butter of both these teams. And when they do well, they look great, right? These stats look pretty even across the board. But when they start having some issues, they just start beating like it's a frenzy. So I think when these two players are playing well, things are going to look good.
And Gamsu has the highest Primal Rage kills in the league right now. Pretty solid stuff from the main tank. We're going to see what Boston can do going up against the Gladiators. Before we send it back there, real quick predictions, starting with you, Bren.
Oh, you would have to do it, wouldn't you?
I would.
Okay, I'm going to go with Boston. I still feel like they're the stronger team in this lineup. I'm going with Boston. However, it is going to be a close game. LA Gladiators definitely have what it takes to bring a match to them.
Crumbs?
Well, the Gladiators are very inconsistent. When they first started out, it looked like they were going to hit the high, then they went low. But right now, they hit a low lately, which means that they're going to transition back up to a high. So I think that the Gladiators are going to come out on top.
Just like the stock market, Zoe.
Oh, I'm Swiss, so I should be neutral here, right? But, Gladiator.
I look better in purple. That's a lie. It's always blue. Boston gets the win in my book. Let's send it backstage and see how this one plays out. Semler and Hex have the call.
Thank you so much, Puckett. We're going to get into the action now, Hex, because it is the last series of the day, but it also happens to be a very close one. Both of these teams kind of hanging around the middle of the pack.
Giant question marks. In Overwatch, there's a game mode called Mystery Heroes. This might as well be Mystery Teams, because I'm not exactly certain what I'm going to see from either of these teams. High highs, low lows. You have a team that was able to go to toe-to-toe with the Valiants and then get absolutely 4-0'd by Houston. That's the Gladiators. It was a super questionable day. They seem like they just phoned that one in, but even phoning in requires more effort than they put in that day. Then Boston has beaten a lot of really good teams, and then sometimes they're a little shaky. I think Boston has the better pedigree so far.
I was going to make a joke about like a payphone or something, but those don't exist anymore
exactly.
today.
You're dating yourself.
Yeah, clearly.
What, you go to the payphone to page someone?
Yeah, they're like, give me my quarters back. No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. I mean, I'm sure they exist still in Los Angeles, but you definitely don't see them around that often anymore. That's the whole phoning in joke. Never mind. So moving into it, we get to go into a bit of an overlook here. It's Numbani to start things off, and always a fun map, I think, to start it off because you get that potential for a hard lock or a total swamp on the first A point.
Yeah, and you can run nearly anything you want. I would like to see more Ana just because my personal biases. I like to see Ana. I like to see sleep darts hit.
Listen,
well,
you like to see mechanical skill, Hex. We'll put it that way.
Yeah,
you just
fair
like
enough.
to see heroes that allow for mechanical skill to be put on display.
Yeah, is that the new hero we're leaking right there on screen there? Maybe some sort of shaman-esque character?
Papa Jeff is back there in the control room real quick. He's got his hand on Jason Baker's shoulder. Hold it. Okay, now you can move.
And I've been told you do not want to wrestle with Jeff.
Because what happens if you do, Hex? What happens if you do?
Prepare for death. On the defense, we do have an Ana. That is Nako on there. He's been such a good Zenyatta. Of course, he's got the mechanical skill to play either of those flex supports for the teams. Dream Casper, a man who can play nearly anything. You could pick a random hero and he'd be good on it, but he's going to play 76, so they're going to hold pretty far back here. This is the distance setup for defense on Numbani. Tanks are going to jump back and forth because they have that vertical mobility, and of course you're going to run a Mercy because we are not quite yet on the live patch. Mercy's still very strong.
Indeed, we are not on the live patch. Worth mentioning, Valk still has the res reset, and Junkrat. Keep in mind, the mines still, no scaling damage there. They blow up in your face and they do a lot of damage. They hurt you bad. So, let's move into the attack here because it's Los Angeles Gladiators, away team that will be starting on the offense and already looking for the flank around the left. They don't want to have anything to do with the high ground just yet. They're waiting to see if they can get Hydration in position and start pummeling them with rockets at range.
Or they're going to go around back. They've already gained entry here. They can take that top left hallway and in fact switch places with the defense of traditional positioning. Just had to knock off the edge. There was a hoop very close, but here comes the Tracer back around the edge. That is Striker, and he punishes them for trying to knock her off the edge.
Dude, Striker, one of the standout Tracer players. There are so many of them to speak of in this league, but Striker really stands out at the top of the pack. What a beast, and he's already making it very clear here to the Gladiators that they're going to have a bit of a tough time cracking onto this point if they have to worry about their back line with him on the map.
Interesting, because often the offense will run the Tracer instead, so that the angle of attack is questionable and confusing for the defense. Defensive Tracer here, not always a must pick, but when you have someone like Striker who can still get back there and harass, he's going to play probably a little more passive, not going to harass the back lines, but when they start doing damage and he sees targets of opportunity, he will, well, most fittingly strike.
Lightning fast. With Righteous Fury, we'll see if it works out. Surefour will be there to take out Gamsu. Well, they kind of gang up on him. Surefour just happens to get the kill, but it was a bit of a team effort there from Los Angeles Gladiators, and Gamsu in a position where it's going to be difficult to res him. We do have Valkyrie ready here for Kelix, and we'll see when he decides to put it into the fight, because Dreamcasper is going to work, and Big Goose has decided to pop his already.
Remix went in and caused a whole lot of chaos up on that side. I think he knew he was going to die, but they had the Resurrection in their pocket to use, and then the follow-up damage from the far over the top. However, defensive Valkyrie has been used. They're going to try to come back on this point. Brings 2 of the tanks alive. Those are value reses.
There are quite a few players still here for Los Angeles Gladiators, though. We're going to have to get some kills going. Self-destruct right in the middle of the pack. Not going to find anybody, and that obviously gives the space here for Surefour to go to work. He is eliminated Striker. No longer that Tracer threat here for them to deal with.
Gladiators have cleaned out the flanking threat on the side, but now they've got an angry Winston in their base. A fight club juggle right there into the corner. Surefour will fall. Sometimes you only need 1 or 2 kills on the defense to be able to restabilize. They are not giving this one up, and why should they? Casper's got them in his sights. They all fall. Boston holds on. They did give up 2 ticks, but a stellar defense so far.
Fantastic work. I mean, you give up 2 ticks, fine and dandy. It doesn't mean that they get the point, and you have a minute left with that run distance that the Gladiators have in front of them. Hope that they pack the lunch, because it's going to take a while. It's an afternoon. You got to set the pace. It's a marathon, all that jazz. It's going to be taking a little bit here for Gladiators to get back into this fight.
Striker looking to get something here. A little clip and then a pulse bomb could end this fight before it starts. And with a minute left, this is very likely one of the last chances the Gladiators are going to have on offense. Lurking in the back line, that's Zenyatta, his prime target right there. Can he one-clip him? No, Mercy's back there. He's got his pulse bomb now, needs to get out alive. Mega pack for him, though.
That's still fine, though. That's going to force them to consider the fact that he is a real threat back there. The sleep attempt's not going to hit there for Neko. A little bit frustrating for him. And he's not going to get the nade off in time.
No, he got it off on time. It's the anti-healing, and that ruins the Transcendence. Transcend can only heal you, but when you get anti-healed like that, that's the reason that Casper ended up falling there.
Sick call, Hex. He caught it in the end, and it's looking like that might make the difference. Another nade goes sailing in, and that is going to obviously boost his damage, but as well as block that healing. It doesn't really matter, however, as the Gladiators will succeed in taking the first point. Hydration, hungry for more kills.
Well, it's cool mechanically, but still Ana does have some weaknesses in her game that cannot be covered up. Ended up getting a Soldier 76 who was anti-healed and a Transcend. That's the interesting thing about Overwatch. There are ultimate abilities that can be shut down by basic abilities. And it's about that rock, paper, scissors, because Transcend, if you hit a bio nade on everyone trying to get healed, it does absolutely nothing. Flashbang shuts down a great deal of ultimates. I've learned a lot in my playtime. Now they're still rolling forward here. Hydration comes in. Kelix, Casper, Neko all down.
Is this deathmatch? He's just dashing through everybody. Surefour doing a lot of the work, but still, the kills are what matter no matter how you get them. Surefour eventually finds the kill on Gamsu. Never mind, Hydration robbed that one too. But again, Surefour, as long as he stays alive, keeps farming up towards that Deadeye, it's gonna make life a little bit difficult for Kelix on the other side.
Still rolling through, had to use a couple ults there. Most importantly, they ended up using their Valkyrie from Big Goose. Shaz is going to have his Transcend to work with, so he's got the only support ultimate that's going to be ready for this next fight, and I think they should just go with it. We'll see if Surefour can find some targets out here, getting close to his Deadeye as well.
High ground here for Hydration. The self-destruct gets launched in. We'll see if Note gets anything out of it. Not going to find a kill, but he does get the remake. And no, he actually got the D-mech on Bishu, and so that does count for something. We'll see if Bishu is long for this world now that he is in a mini-diva.
That's a giant Deadeye, takes out Gamsu on the other side of things. Hydration finds himself a lucky ticket in there, forces out the Valkyrie from the side of Boston. They're going to bring Gamsu back and Neko back. This might just be enough for Boston to stabilize. With Big Goose falling, it most certainly will be.
Yeah, that healing throughput is out of it. Dreamcasper eventually finds the kill on Remix, but the key one, you're right, it's taking down Big Goose, it's stopping that healing, it's stopping even the courageous res if you were to go for it. And really, there's only 50 seconds left here for Los Angeles Gladiators to make this second point push count.
Only one more time. You see Big Goose spamming that blaster down the hallway. That's trying to charge his ultimate ability. He knows that's going to be big in the next fight, but only at 47. it's kind of questionable if he'll be able to get to that Valkyrie in time. Kelix definitely won't have to use it in the last fight, but watch if Big Goose does get that Valkyrie, because that's what Dream Casper's waiting for. That's why he's saving up his Deadeye. It's going to be very unlikely he uses it beforehand. That's the answer to the Valkyrie in the sky, especially in a wide open area.
Exactly right. You've got the room to work with it when you can set up shop. Things can get dicey. Hydration. He drops down to half HP, but his healers are obviously going to keep him up. Whoa, Nako commits with the Transcend. Going to use it to try and contest on the point, and that could create some opportunities here. Hydration just going to commit, however, with the Dragon Blade.
Valkyrie is out, brings back Shaz, brings back Hydration. Where is Dream Casper? His Deadeye does takes down Big Goose, takes down Hydration. Wasn't even the Deadeye able to take them down. Short4 will not find the same luck, but they've still got bodies here. Scrappy on the point. Next kill might decide everything. I think this is going to be a hold. So close to it.
They are going to be able to get back into the
He got his
strike.
back!
Yeah, he gets the mech. Striker's back in the fight as well as that Tracer. Luckily, however, iRemix does have the Primal Rage, and so he'll be able to last a little bit longer here. He's got Big Goose trying to help him out, who has swapped to the Tracer. Anything to get more bodies on this point for Los Angeles Gladiators, trying to turn the tide, but the healers are there to keep him up for Boston Uprising, and Kelix has now got the belt.
Valkyrie back there. They don't even have a Mercy for the Gladiators. They switched over to touch the cart, and a stellar defense from Boston to open Numbani.
Solid work. The shield's not quite up yet for the Gladiators. Although we'll get to see them come into full locked and loaded mode here as they swap over onto the defense. But for offense, they need to take some notes from the Spartans. That didn't look like they were getting that that flow going.
To defend the hot gates.
Yes, indeed.
All of that military strategy defeated by a goat path.
All right, well, we have the Gladiator comms now when they managed to pick up that first point, so let's give that a listen.
Soldier point. Point.
President.
He rested.
Baby. Just play for it. Monkey.
I need heals. Monkey one.
I'm hitting you. We're fine.
Rush.
I'm seeing point. Yeah.
Quick to call for the rush, I like that. As far as the rest of it, it's target calling out the targets. That allows everybody to focus up, get those kills as quickly as possible, so that's efficient. But I do like the quick decision making there, right? You know, they know what they need to do immediately, and somebody's already calling for it even before the point ticks over.
They have to flip that switch. And you do see Short4 in the roster here for the Los Angeles Gladiators. Sometimes he'll swap out for Asher, Asher being mostly their Tracer ace. Short4 can play pretty much everything. And a lot of times you can tell what kind of compositions that the Gladiators are going to run based on the roster in there, because they do have kind of their specialists. Short4, no slouch on the Tracer, but we've evolved to an era in Overwatch where there are just Tracer specialists. Tracer, you know, dare I say, one tricks. Tracer mains, I think, would be the best way to say it.
I mean, fair enough. Striker could be one of those guys. You rarely see him switch off of Tracer, for example. I mean, real standout in the Tracer department. I wanted to say Soon, but then you do see Soon play some Widow every now and again, so he kind of changes it up. He shows that he has a bit of depth.
Yeah, Soon's Widow is pretty bonkers. He's got a nice McCree as well. All right, so the Gladiators are going to play with an Ana as well. That's going to be Shaz. He's their flex support. And then they're going to go distance damage with Short4. No defensive Tracer, which we saw from Boston Uprising. Instead, they're going to take to the skies with Hydration. The question for Boston is, how do you deal with this, Farah? And I think with the composition they're running the answer is you don't. You send a tank after her to distract her, and then you try to kill everyone else.
Exactly right. It's going to be a focus on the ground war here, and already you can see Note kind of falling off the high ground there, so that's frustrating. He's going to have to boost back up again if he can manage it, or at least knock people off onto the ground so that his teammates can help focus on it. So long as he keeps the presence on the point, though, things are still looking up here for the Boston Uprising as they do manage to get the cleanup. iRemix out of the fight. Striker, they are taking over now, Boston. Dream Casper going to work in the back line.
Shaz, it's a sleep dart, then takes the long walk off of a short bridge. Little Quentin Compson action there as he goes off the edge. Moving forward, they just got bullied. They got pushed completely off the backside of the bridge, never were able to re-engage, and even before they chose to start fighting again, there were already 2 free ticks on the point. Gladiators might need to be a little more aggressive on their defense.
Oh, I mean, you know, speak of aggression, you're going to have to find a way to start challenging it here fairly soon, as that payload is making progress towards the second point, about to round the corner. One of the common spots is by the green bus, so we'll see if the Gladiators elect to put up a bit of a fight there. They definitely need to at some point here, given the fact that, well, Boston don't really have to push that cart too far now, Hex.
Well, they take down Nako, but Nako's instantly res. Striker is going to be taken out. He was looking for a pack, but too late. He's back up the fight. Full fighting force of both sides. Big Goose nearing his Valkyrie, so that might be the turning point ultimate for this team. Unless he gets bladed down first, which he's eyeing up right now. Casper goes for it. He's in the Transcend.
Here we go! gets the big kill, focuses on the healers, and he manages to take them out immediately. Dreamcasper just got all the value in the world out of that Dragon Blade, and Boston Uprising will surely just continue to plow forward here. Dreamcasper just doesn't stop. Between him and Striker, they just made confetti out of the gladiators.
Yeah, that goose is flying no longer. Absolutely crushed down there. And he switches. So now they're just trying to get back to the point. They have to get the Lucio in here to speed boost. I don't even know if they're gonna make it. No, not around the corner. And a dominant performance so far from the Boston Uprising. That was quick and extremely one-sided.
Dreamcasper showing his versatility, Soldier, Genji, doesn't really matter what you put him on, and then the rest of the team just playing it to perfection. Boston Uprising not really straying away from what has worked for them in the past. Both of these teams in the middle of the pack, and they are very well matched. But right now, Boston Uprising, they have pulled ahead. They lead 1-0 in the series. We have 3 more maps coming though, Axe. So guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
Hello, my name is Gamsu. I play for Team Boston Uprising.
Their main take, Gamsu was on point from start to finish here on Winston.
I want to be the best main tank player in Overwatch League.
Gamsu has stepped it up so aggressive.
3 swift eliminations from Gamsu, working that dive composition to perfection.
Our team goal is showing to everyone who we are. I just really want to win against New York. I really want to win against them.
That'll do it. 2 kills for Gamsu, and that can turn the tide here for Boston.
I think we have potential to be the best.
And Hex, this man included, are currently on that quest to be the best. They have the potential, they show it. Now it's a question of performing when you need to. And so now, well, I mean, certainly they've started pretty strong here in this series. Gamsu in particular definitely stood out.
I think this is a great chance for them to separate themselves from the pack. I think they're at the top of the rest of the teams. I think there's 2 or 3 teams that are very, very good, and then there's some teams that I'm still not certain are great yet based on consistency of performances. But if they come out and play like they just did against the Gladiators, who are definitely a middle of the tier pack, man, then watch out, because this team has all the potential in the world.
Still a chance to make the playoffs, given on how we have one more week, when we have a couple more days worth of play as well. Apart from what, today, we have tomorrow, and then another week, you can still make the cut.
Absolutely, and you look at all the teams at the very top, there's a couple teams, a couple losses up there, so it's definitely not going to be the expected, these are the 3 good teams, there's everybody else. There's a lot of room to move up and down here as we move into the Temple of Anubis.
All down from here. Down underground in the sarcophagus. You know, that's what this map is all about. It is going to be a temple, though, and it is going to be assault. And so we will have the 2 points, variety of strategies possible on this map as well. Just want to note that, and we do need to repeat in case you're just tuning in, old patch here. So just keep that in mind. We do have the old Valkyrie with the reset, which is why you're going to be seeing the Mercy in play here quite a bit still as a mainstay, and Junkrat mines still do the damage.
Only through stage 1, I believe, we might be seeing a whole new brand of Overwatch come stage 2, so I'm excited for it. I don't really care what changes are, I just like change. Not like most people, I don't fear change.
That's very mature of you, Hex.
It is, isn't it?
I mean, a lot of people wish that they could be as free-flowing as you are when it comes to change. You know, in general,
Yeah.
change is scary.
This is just the face I put on for the broadcast. In reality, everything terrifies me.
Exactly. You are definitely the man. You go home, you cower, you play matchmaking, and you cry yourself to sleep.
Hey, in my defense,
Mercy is gone.
with how matchmaking goes for me, crying myself to sleep, totally acceptable response to that.
All right, well, you can already see the setup here for Boston Uprising. This is pretty much it's becoming their calling card right now, at least in terms of this current meta and in terms of the current strategy that Papa Huck has outlined for the team. That dive.
It's nothing new, but it's tried and true. Dive works on offense, dive works on defense. It's all about that coordination. You dive alone and you die. You dive with friends and everyone else does. So it's really just about the tank calls for the most part. A lot of teams are giving comms over to their tanks, and they're going to be the shot callers because those are the initiators, even on defense. They are the ones who decide to go in. So a lot of it is when you see the Winston come in, is D.Va going to be there with him? Is the Genji going to be there with him? And you really have to be kind of sneaky on the offense to get away from that and pick the right angle that you want to be dove in on because you know what's going to happen.
That is a very fair call as well. In terms of the tanks calling the shots, you definitely want those guys in the front lines who are going to be directing the offense. And we've seen teams with the good comms. We had a bit of a demonstration of that earlier with Los Angeles Gladiators when they took over that first point. A lot of good calls there. What's happening now, however? It decided to take the fight to them. Boston Uprising, they got tired of waiting. They didn't want Gladiators to just get farm up ults or anything like that. They decided to take the fight to them, and well, they mop them up.
This Boston style, it really just depends on never letting anyone get comfortable. Never let them set up where we want. We are the ones who fight. We are the danger. We're the ones who knock.
Yes!
They must wait for us, and you see it. They're kind of, you can see the trepidation in Los Angeles as they try to set up. Is this the right angle? Is this the right angle? Should we go? Should we? And then too late. Too late, they're in their face.
Running you over, literally. And so now, well, you got Dreamcasper dancing around on the edge. He's going to be the one trying to keep an eye on things here. If somebody steps out of line, if the tanks overextend, he'll get a freeway onto the back line, onto the healers, which is, of course, going to make his day every day of the week. Genji, that's exactly what he wants. Dragon Blade in play as well. Goes right dashing through. Hydration offers himself up, and Los Angeles Gladiators, they decided they needed to commit to a fight. Turns out, however, Boston Uprising, they've changed it up again. This time they let them come to him.
They tried to let the Gladiators initiate and then just won the DPS battles. Both the DPS for the Gladiators died in that fight. I think it was smart of Big Goose to not use his Valkyrie, even though he was nearing it. And now you come down to it, do you preemptively pop the Valkyrie just to get in here? You know you're going to have lesser of an advantage because Kellex can reactively pop his Valkyrie. Really, I mean, all of these decisions matter. That is the preemptive Valk coming in from Kellex of all things. On the defense, they lose Neko anyway.
Very interesting. There will be the res for Nako, but this definitely gives a big advantage here. I'm glad to see Big Goose holding on to it, although as I say that, Big Goose, he dies to Gamsu. He had every advantage there, holding on to the Valkyrie. That could have turned the fight in their favor. Instead, now things could get dicey for Los Angeles Gladiators, who are all holding on to their ults, and so who seem to have just accepted the fact that they need to go for a reset.
Yeah, let me speak your language. Maybe I believe you would call that an eco push, right?
There you go.
Yeah,
well put. Well, yeah.
So, as soon as Big Goose died, maybe that wasn't their plan to begin with. When Big Goose goes down, that's it. Everyone unbind your ultimate button. We're saving these for our next. They got a couple of ults out of Boston. Boston was kind of conservative. They still have a lot left in the tank here.
That seems like they realized what was going on, and so they didn't overcommit. Oh, buddy! Bishu with the money self-destruct. 3 dead, and Kelix, most importantly, is gone out of it. So no possibility for the reses and the heals. And this is definitely where it spins all out of control here for Boston Uprising. Los Angeles Gladiators, they shield rushed them, and it worked.
They used 4 ultimates there to take it. Absolutely fine. You have to take first point before you move on. They were down to only 50 seconds, so they had to do it. Let's see the beautiful angle that this one comes in on. As we rotate through pack room, just sitting there, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Thought they were around the door, not quite, boys. Gladiators have 2 ults left, and they're 2 ults that work very well together, especially on this point. Dragon Blade and Transcend. Transcend right on the point, just hang out there, and then chase around your Genji so that he can get all the kills.
Yeah, you can see Hydration kind of scoping things out right now, trying to figure out the positioning. It helps that Nako has used his Transcendence already. That means that Hydration, there's nothing to stop him from hacking him to bits. There's the one, Nako gets punished. And that could be the opening here without that Zenyatta. No orbs, and so the tanks are going to get that much beefier.
Took way too long, and now Kelix is going to have his Valkyrie should he so need it. In fact, Gladiators would be happy if they can get enough pressure that Kelix has to use his Valkyrie. There comes another ultimate out on the other side of things. Bijou gets a couple of kills, will force out that Valkyrie, so that's another small victory.
Yeah, it certainly is. They're going to be turning it around and just backing out the door. This sets it up for Big Goose to get his Falcon. He can commit to it if he wants. Bijou, another money self-destruct. Could be picking it up here any moment now. That would be sick to create some space on this point. Striker dodging around the corner and rammed into the wall, nearly picked off again.
There's a self-destruction to try to zone people off of that point. Still, it's not been clean enough for my liking for the offense to really call this one in their favor just yet. A couple nice kills. Short 4 is brought back to life, but they still have to deal with this Transcend on the point. And now when you start seeing blue in the kill feed, you have to start worrying. Because there's not going to be the resurrection from Big Goose, not even the healing from Big Goose. And that is enough to deflect that attack. I do not believe they even got one permanent tick of progress. Nope, all back to the drawing board. 3 minutes remain.
You may think 3 minutes is a lot to work with, but on Assault, second point, with how fights can draw out eternally here, with that close respawn for the defending team, Los Angeles Gladiators are going to start feeling a bit of pressure here. They do have Shaz's Transcend, but they're lacking the other ultimates here to make that, to have that 1-2 combination punch.
Defense not working with a whole lot on their side. Casper is over to that Junkrat, which can be an absolute menace on a last point of an assault map. And even if they get killed, as long as Gamsu stays alive, they're going to have a couple cracks at defending this one because he's got Primal Rage, such a great stall-out ultimate.
Bat them off the point or just leap around forever. That is definitely something to consider. Bishu getting run over. Surfboard though with the double stick and on both supports for Boston Uprising. This could be disastrous for Boston.
That is the dream double stick too. Was able to take down both supports. On the other side of things, both supports are still alive. Big Goose just got his Valkyrie. He might be looking to bring people back to life, but it looks like they're being pressured all the way back thanks to the tire remix down. And now they're going to reset yet again, but they have both support ultimates to work with. We're not in position to use those to extend the fight. And the man you want to look at is very likely going to be Hydration. I think you go with Hydration and Transcend first, see what you get there. If you lose people, maybe you're on the periphery of the Transcend, then you bring them back to life. They also have to worry about Kelix, who should be the #1 target for Hydration.
Especially because he's fixing to get that Dragon Blade. Spent all night sharpening it for this moment, Hex. He's ready. He's waiting. When does he decide to whip it out, though? He's getting overwhelmed, however, getting tased. No way to reflect the lightning.
Both Valkyries out. Lives being brought back. Boston is bringing back more and killing more right now. Hydration still holding this blade. They did try to just get in on the Valk. Now with both people resurrected, it's time to go. Transcend is out. Where is this blade? Hydration being very patient. Gonna wait for this Transcend to wear off and then you will hear it.
This could be the big moment for him. Question of whether his teammates can stay alive and give him the room. Bishu trading versus Striker. That's solid, and here we go. Decides to commit. Hacks one to pieces. Dreamcasper is out. Looks for the back line as well, doing tremendous damage now. Hydration may not be getting the kills, but he certainly did some work.
They got Note. Note is not going to be able to remac. They bullied him back in the corner, and Short4 was there. Short4 also took down Kellex during that engagement as well. It is a 6v4 in favor of the Gladiators on the point. This is probably their last best push. They used all of their ults to get in here. 30 seconds remain.
They go with the Mei. The stall tactics really getting put into effect here as Gamsu finds the kill on Short4.
That's
and
it.
Dreamcasper continues to reign supreme on his Junkrat. This is where it starts to look a bit grim here for the Gladiators. They've got 20 seconds left to cap the final point on this map, and this is when Boston could even get ahead of themselves, just go charging out, look for kills if they even wanted to.
They could. I don't think it's the right choice necessarily. The problem is, can someone get here on time to touch the point? If so, and to stall it out, Gladiators are so close to both support ultimates. A nice wall's gonna keep them out. Can anybody get in here and touch? Bishu gets in at the last second, touches his toe on the point.
But Kamsu has found Short4. You've lost your Tracer. Now iRemix surely gonna get overwhelmed, and yes, he does go down.
You gotta bring back Shaz. Shaz has Transcend. Big Goose did pop his Valkyrie. Shaz does come back into the fight. Transcend should be popped momentarily. Try to keep everyone alive. Here it comes.
This is going to be it now. Shaz, it's going to wear off in any moment as the wall will soon dissipate as well. He decides to back off and just try and hit some orbs into the corner. Boston Uprising, however, sticking together as the death ball. And this is how you overwhelm teams if you're moving together as 6. No way for the Gladiators to stay alive in the face of that onslaught. With Boston Uprising with a solid second point defense.
Never a clean enough offense to be able to push through last point Anubis. You need that Dragon Blade to get a little bit more hydration, unable to find the whetstone to sharpen his blade there.
Turns out it was a little dull. Just a little, just enough to make the difference. And well, Short4 not quite able to get the big plays going himself either. Gamsu really chose him as the target, the priority, the high priority kill, and so not a whole lot of room for him to work with there.
Short4 had that one monstrous pulse bomb to be able to take down, but after you take down both supports, the target coordination and calling has to be there to take down everybody else in short order before the respawns can start coming in. Respawns on a Temple of Anubis last, they might as well be on the point. You might as well just respawn right back on the point. That's how close you are there. It's really difficult for the offense to close out fights, which is why you see Reapers, which is why Blades are so important. Death Blossoms can do it for you as well, but even without running specific heroes, if your target selection and target calling is absolutely on point, you can do it with really any comp.
Take note, any comp.
Well, okay.
I want to see the Torb, I want to see the Symmetra. You know, let's get some Hanzo in there too. Just play matchmaking with Hex, guys. You know, he's so positive.
Who's Symmetra?
Yeah, fair enough. The voice actress for Symmetra was here yesterday.
I know, it was a blast from the past. I'm like, I know that voice from somewhere. Was it a dream of mine? I don't know. I haven't seen Symmetra in quite a while. One day she will be back in the Overwatch League, and that day will be glorious.
Sometimes you see her, well, I mean, instead of matchmaking at least, but you see her on this first point defense for these assault maps, right?
Sometimes you see her in the basement of the chateau in free-for-all deathmatch.
Yeah, and then you just laugh because you play Moira. You have no
don't out me as a Moira in deathmatch. It's true, he's right. I'm ashamed.
It's what you should be, the Halt combo. I like it. Bit of a change of flavor here from Los Angeles Gladiators. Short4 with the Widow. We have the iRemix playing on the Orisa as well.
Safe entry so far. They've gotten past the first hurdle. Eats a giant nade, but he's going to be fine. The Halt comes in, but going to eat up all that damage as Note with the defense matrix.
Yeah, no combo possible, and Note decides to just fully commit to this site. Dreamcasper's already here. Dreamcasper, never mind, gets deleted by Shaz, but Striker will be able to turn that back, manage to pick up that kill for himself. Too many kills right now for the Los Angeles Gladiators, though. Striker is going to be the man alive, but not for long. He gets trapped. Whoa, that was a fast trap.
That was a very quick trap. I'm not entirely sure what happened there, but he's going to be still on this point, messing around. Striker's going to go all the way back. He knows this fight's very likely over, but he's going to come from a different angle now, unless they go back there to hunt him back. There's a nice big pack back there that he already found and got. Now he's going to come back in with this D.Va. Constant pressure. This Orisa's in trouble. Orisa's gone.
Yeah, not long for this world. The self-destruct is more of a desperation one, and he's not even going to be able to get the remake. Bishu gets picked off, and Striker just styling right now. Takes down Short4. They do have that point defense. This is how you want to play it, but as I say, that Striker again with the pulse bomb takes down iRemix. You're thinking, right, if you can hold in the back of the point with the Orisa behind the barrier that seems to just always be there.
What was Big Goose here? I don't think he got the memo to retreat. He was on the point, then he looked back like, oh, I've made a huge mistake.
I regret this decision.
And he got cut down immediately. All right, after first point, what you really want to do is check on the economy. Where are they at here? Big Goose, 80%, should be able to get Valkyrie going. Kelix has his going next. The big thing to look at, though, is Dreamcasper's Blade. Blade on last point of Anubis is the way to cut your way to victory. 79%, it's close enough that you can go in expecting to have it during the fight.
So yeah, if he keeps hitting shurikens, look at that, he's already got 100, nearly. He's already got it. That's unreal. Dreamcasper just keeps coming up with the big plays here. Now it's a question of delivering. Can they force the trance out of Shaz? That will be the hard counter here to the Dragon Blade for Dreamcasper. Dreamcasper staying on top of hydration, reflected his face with hydration. The chaos reigns.
Absolutely crushed by the passive ability of Junkrat. If you've not fallen victim to him like I have, maybe you don't know it exists. When Junkrat dies, he drops his bombs. And if you're standing there, you are not feeling very good about it.
And guess what? If trance gets used, that's when Dreamcasper gets to, just create some sushi out of the entire back line. Serves them up on a bed of rice, and that's looking pretty good for the Boston Uprising. Although, in the meantime, Surefour and Bishu did do quite a bit of damage to stall them out.
It was looking good. They lost both their supports. What they would like to do now is get enough to at least get one tick of progress. And if they can stay healthy-ish, then their supports are going to get back in here. Now they're going to go down to that back. It's not quite there. Casper's going to get out, rejoin his healers. Time to reset. No progress made, but still 5 minutes left to go.
It certainly is Dreamcasper. It certainly is.
Boston really wanted to get back too. They swapped Nako over to Lucio for a moment, thinking that they were going to be able to stall out that fight and get back in here. Nako thinks better of it. Will have to reset his ultimate charge, but Shaz not very far in his Transcendence either.
Now that is kind of balanced out. You do want to try and develop it as quickly as possible. Kelix is winning in the Valk War, though. Note will eventually find Hydration, who has definitely been having a bit of an off day so far on these first 2 points. And there's Striker, who has certainly been performing. Pulse bomb and get out! Hydration, even your second life, you're still gonna get blown to bits. Boston Uprising right now. Striker is just styling.
Tracer's a pretty good hero. The hard carry there. Boston Uprising. Still rising through the ranks of the Overwatch League. This team has surprised. Now it's no longer a surprise that they're this good. They just are this good.
Yeah, Nako, stand out. Dreamcasper, there is a depth of talent, but really Striker just putting on a show there on the Tracer, just coming up with all of the big kills, it seems. Making the difference. We're going to take a break and we'll hear from the analysts after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
are halfway through the match between Boston and the Gladiators, and so far it is all Beantown. Boston up 2-0 at the half. We brought back Crumbs as well as Mr. Brennathan. And Brenn, I gotta ask you, first half, who impressed the most?
Who impressed the most for me? I was actually pretty impressed with Hydration, despite the fact that their team lost. This guy is a consistent performer overall. He's probably one of the most consistent players on the team of Gladiators, and it's something that they sorely need.
All right, let's go into our first map and talk about how these games played out. We started on Numbani. Numbani known for the high ground. Soldier 76 makes an appearance quite regularly here. And Crumbs, talk me through some of the early action of the game.
Well, the Boston Uprising actually took a page out of the London Spitfire book, having the Winston come in with the Valkyrie to try to save the point at the very last moment, and that just gave so much trouble to the Gladiators. And that kind of resilience is the scrappiness that you come to expect out of this team that the Gladiators' inconsistency just was not able to deal with.
I think in general as well, one thing I do like is when teams run Ana on this first defense of Numbani. Happens pretty much all the time these days, but it seemed that Boston ran it to just a much better level. Neko was much more successful in just staying alive in general, building up his Nana boost, and then you can just use that Nana boost, pop it on your Winston, pop it on whoever you want. Dreamcasper in this case, because he used the tactical visor, and it's just cleanup duty on the point.
I was going to say, I know Overwatch normally is played with 12 people at once. All those highlights seem to come from Dreamcasper. How do you shut this guy down?
You don't really. London Spitfire wasn't able to shut him down, so you actually can't. You're going to have to deal with it and be better.
All right, let's take a look at our second game in the series. We go to Anubis, and here we generally see teams taking point A and then struggling to take point B. As we opened up, once again, unrelenting aggression on defense from Boston Uprising at the front gate.
That's 50 seconds into the game, and they're basically spawn camping the Gladiators. This Diva Bomb from Bishu was practically the only way that they were able to get this point, really. I don't think they would have been able to crack this with the 1 minute remaining, so they got really lucky here. However, I do think that the Gladiators' big struggle is with their ultimate economy, because in a lot of these fights, the fight is clearly lost. 1 or 2 picks happen in another part of the main fight, and they still continue, so it stalls out the game. Their ultimates get wasted, and everything just goes downhill.
All right, so the ultimates, that's kind of a conversation on the macro level. Brenn, on a micro level, are there any individuals that you need to see step it up if the Gladiators are going to make a comeback here?
So one thing I'm super confused by is, in fact, Surefour as a player, because he's super capable, right? I'm super confused by him, because not just because he's an attractive young lad, but also because he's very capable on various DPS roles. He turns up on the Tracer, the next moment he goes onto McCree, and he's sort of fallen off the map a little bit. And it's like, if Gladiators actually obtain any sort of consistency in terms of their play, I feel like they could be a very good team, but it just seems to be going all over the place right now.
I love the guy behind you. I don't know your name yet, sir, but I will meet you at the end of the show. This guy's been cracking me up all day. Before we go to the break, though, we want to ask the community, did you ever think the devs are watching the matches as they're going on? Well, we had an awesome fan in the crowd today, and Brenn, go ahead, hold up the sign he brought with us. Let Torb wall run. Well, our devs back in Irvine, they saw it and they responded with a tweet. Okay.
That's me, yes.
Yeah, that's right here. That's the sign. And here's the man wall running.
He has a katana, too.
I have never seen such a swift Swede other than Reinforced climb walls like that. Shout out to the dev team. Thanks for making our job possible. A great first half, and we have plenty more games to go. If it's anything like our last series, look for a comeback in the second half. We could be going to a game 5. We'll be right back. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places.
Overwatch League represents a different direction than esports have taken in the past. A global community of professionals for a truly global league.
Welcome back from the break, everybody. We are going to get into the final 2 maps of the day between the Gladiators and the Boston Uprising. I mean, Gladiators right now, Hex, hasn't looked too pretty going into these first 2 maps, but there's always a chance with these guys. It was pointing out on the desk. You know, they had their highs, they've had their lows, but that means that they can always come back. They're in a low right now.
Yeah,
they always go high.
They need some DPS carry to come in for them right now, and that's why you're going to bring Asher in for hydration. Also of note is that we're going to control. You definitely want a Tracer in control, but the reason you take hydration out is that perhaps Short 4 has a bigger pool, maybe not better at some certain heroes. You think Genji comes to mind, but he can play absolutely everything. So they're going to have more flexibility leaving Short 4 in there and taking out hydration. And I've said it time and again, it's Tracer's world. We're just living in it. If you don't have a Tracer, you don't have a chance. And that's why you got to bring Asher in. I mean, you look what Striker did. My goodness.
Yeah, exactly right. And during the break, you and I were having a chat about that. And you put it perfectly, you know, where you said Tracer is one of the few heroes in the game right now where you can really express yourself, your personal style. And that's true. You've got all sorts of different styles for these Tracers. Tracers that focus on assassination, Tracers that focus on babysitting the backline, Tracers that focus on farming ults off of tanks. You got all kinds.
Yeah, and some of the best teams have both of those kinds of Tracers on the same teams. You look at like New York and London even. They have all sorts of options on what kind of Tracer they want to play. So we're thinking like, do we have power rankings for Tracers? I'm like, yeah, but which kind of Tracer? They all play so differently. But I think that's probably what Asher is going to play on this team. He is their Tracer ace. Control is Tracer's playground of all of the map types. I think it's one where she can hardest carry here. And then Boston, we'll see what they want to run. I think Striker will probably be on that Tracer again. We'll see how those duels played on. A lot of this comes down to, and it's, you know, we talk about Tracer v Tracer so much, but that's how important it is, the TVT matchup. If you can shut down the other Tracer and really eliminate their style, then you can just run roughshod over a team.
The Trey.
That's when there were 2 Tracers.
Indeed.
Don't give me flashbacks. All right, little cool tech there. Kelix is on the Lucio just for the moment, just to give his team the speed boost. He's going to switch immediately. Guardian Angel to his team, so they lose nothing. Something that most teams should be doing on Control at least.
Certainly. A couple of seconds in positioning in terms of getting into a better position can mean the difference. And Dream Casper already going to work, landing a couple shots there to get started. And he's fine, man. The faster he gets a Deadeye, the more deadly this is going to get here for Los Angeles Gladiators, who are still trying to find a way. But I'm very curious to see the impact that Asher will have now that he has been subbed in. Sure4 has been doing work. Can Asher buddy up with him, and can they prove to be that deadly duo?
Well, the option right now for Los Angeles is that they want to try to take high ground and fight, or hide behind. There is no hiding from Dream Casper's peacekeeper. Not keeping the peace, just putting people in the grave.
Yes, and it happens that, you know, yes, the graveyard is a very peaceful place, Hex, and so, you know, it all kind of works out in the end. Dream Casper, he's got a plan, and he's sticking to it.
RIP in pieces, I believe is what that stands for. Shaz gonna take down Dream Casper. They do avenge. However, Boston has grabbed a very swift control of this point. Los Angeles gonna have to win a decisive fight to be able to wrestle it back. Still kind of just jockeying for position on the other side of the gazebo here.
Big deal though is that Shaz does get the pick on Dream Casper, and so the eye of the sky is dead. And so let chaos reign, as the piece is not going to be around for a little bit longer. We will actually have quite a few kills coming in here for Los Angeles Gladiators. It seems like they are finally able to turn it around. And Striker missing the pulse bomb. That could have been something to throw a wrench in things here, but not meant to be. And Los Angeles Gladiators very quickly flip the point back their way.
That was the fight they needed, and they did so without using ultimate abilities, which is absolutely huge. Now their defense in a great position as Boston tries to work their way towards ultimates as well. Interesting to see where Shore4 wants to set up. One of the coolest things to see, it's not very practical, is to go over on the trampoline over there during a Deadeye and surprise, everyone's dead.
Yeah, that's the style points. I do like this from Boston though, sticking together. Like, right, we want the high ground. We're gonna go through this again, take it over, and then perhaps just drop one at a time onto the point. You know, you're gonna have to stay on that point, Gladiators, and that could force you out into the open.
They drop the tanks down though, still. Gladiators are happy to take a slow fight here. They're in control of the point, still ticking up. Gamsu out of this fight. There's a lot of area control now gone. Casper's gonna be able to take down Asher, and here come the Valkyries.
Here come the Valkyries, and it's canceled out. Asher is back in the fight immediately, and Big Goose has still got one of those reses to use as well. You can say Shaz, he's just making it his day. You know, he wakes up every morning, makes a list of things to do, and on that list is written volley orbs into Dream Casper's face.
Seems to work out so far. Remix down, Remix back. The self-destruct does not find what they're looking for. Casper does, though. Clips the wings of Big Goose. That is huge. Now dueling Zoom Yada's on the point. Dancing around, trying to get as much healing going on. Still not decisive enough for Boston to be able to take this back just yet, but Note changes that, making his parents proud in the crowd.
Oh yes, man, with the flyby, just putting maximum pressure. Remix eventually gets found. Naiko going to work there, and now they managed to flip it back. Boston Uprising, this could be a bit of a back and forth sort of duel here. One thing to note is that Surefour has still got his Deadeye, but it's mirrored by Dream Caspers over there for Boston. Big difference here is that Gamsu has got the Primal Rage, and so they will be able to stall out a bit more effectively here on the point.
Dreamcaster's gonna sit up here to make sure that they don't get Pulse Bomb teched, another up on the trampoline, double blink onto the high ground, so he's just gonna flashbang anyone that comes behind him. The audio cue is so loud that you're never gonna get snuck up upon. But now Los Angeles playing this smart, playing out of sight lines, making sure that they have to come down to deal with them. But at some point, they're gonna have to deal with Gamsu, who's up on that edge.
Yeah, I like Gamsu's positioning a lot. Like, okay, it didn't work out the first time when I was on the floor, and so next best thing, on this little balcony here that I made for myself, Dream Casper giving ground, but he will eventually be able to make it right back to the elevator, and there it is! Oh, the blink by Asher! Just barely saves himself in time.
Come on, Dreamcaster, it's not a bouncy castle. It's time to go. Get some shots in there. Is getting a little bit of work done. Meanwhile, though, Boston's still in control of the point. Surefour takes down Striker. Nice play there. Asher out of this fight. Now the flight of the Valkyries begins yet again.
There's the dance, but this time Remix won't be there to drop the beat. There's the self-destruct as well coming in from Note. So he will actually find the kill on Surefour. That's big. The Deadeye not going to be in this fight. And overtime is already taking. They desperately needed him and his damage in this to find those kills to create the space. And instead, it is going to be a huge advantage here for Boston Uprising.
She has alive so long there thanks to his friend in the back lines. They have taken out Kellex on the other side of things, but they need more than that. It's desperation time. Big Goose gets caught on the wall. It's like watching a bird fly into a glass building. Frustrating and sad at the same time. Boston takes stage 1 of Oasis. They are 1 stage away from taking the set.
It's been quite a decisive win as well for Boston. They've been looking very good here. Papa Hutt can be proud. The work is paying off, and Boston are certainly a threat. They're showing that. Wonder, I mean, well, obviously we might not be able to get it, but the replay was curious of Surefour. You know, what happened? How did he get caught? Where did that self-destruct catch him out? And I'm wondering how much of an impact he could have had if he had that Deadeye in the fight.
I mean, sometimes as McCree, when your only mobility option is to do a somersault, you just take it. You just take the self-destruct. You're like, I'm gonna die with dignity. I'm not, I guess it's technically called a combat roll, but
it is.
Yeah.
Euphemisms are fun though, right?
Yeah, exactly.
you call a spade, Hex. I like it. Naiko, I like this change as well from him. The Lucio, very common to see this hero on this point. Going to have that AoE healing there, and well, he can also ferry his teammates onto the point quicker, and that's one of the big advantages here with the Lucio.
You are, of course, giving up the damage potential of that Zenyatta. Surefour falls, though, Casper in the skies, and it's very important for Boston to take control of this first point with the composition that they're running. They are getting progress on it. They've got control. Dream Casper still raining death from above. Asher will fall to that. And now Los Angeles has to really reevaluate their positioning. Where are they? Well, they're going to mostly be back in spawn. Let's reconvene there.
Man, Note is going ham right now. He is, I mean, this is another thing as far as styles, right? We're talking about Tracer and how there are all these different ways you can approach a Tracer player. But right now, you know, we're seeing quite a variety out of the Diva players as well. And Note is showing some aggression. He is constantly hunting those kills.
400 HP Assassin is Diva now with the burst damage of the rockets to get in there to be able to fire while flying. It's kind of a new addition to her kit, and it changed her playstyle a great deal. Of course, less defensive options. That's the damage you can do. Almost takes down a Winston. Winston's gonna get healed back up, but Shaz falls in the back line, forces out the insta-res. Valkyrie's out for both teams.
Valkyrie's out, the reses are possible as well. Big Goose, he's dancing around, he's trying to stay out of harm's way. Of course, nearly back into spawn. Get out of here! And Note again with the flyby. Asher, not long for this world, and already 50% on this point for Boston Uprising. Better yet, Hex, they've got 4 ultimates to hold.
What Boston's done so well, and it's largely their tank line, is cutting the supports off from the rest of their team, cutting them off from each other. You saw Big Goose there trying to get to his team, but he just gets bullied back. The tanks know that they're big bodies. They are bouncers. The zone control has been so impressive from Boston.
And this has forced the change. Surefour now going to be running that Pharah. Capable Pharah player, you can definitely hit some rockets. Now it's going to be that target's priority selection coming into play here. Dreamcasper is going to focus on the Pharah, he's going to focus on the ground war. In general, it's the ground war that wins out. And Striker, again, got the barrier in play here from Nako, decides to commit it to this fight to continue buying time. Nearly 90% on the point, and Dreamcasper point-blank rocket on a Surefour. But with the orb and the Mercy, Surefour is just going to regen that immediately.
Bijou needs to stay alive because his self-destruct, one of the best ways to deal with a Pharah Mercy. It ends up falling on the ground, harmless like a dud of a firecracker right there. Shaz goes down to Striker. Boston looking to seal this set.
And you can see Dreamcasper, even managed, perfect, Big Goose is out! What a play from Dreamcasper, just hammering rockets, all of the damage, there's the barrage, and that ends it here for Boston. They've completely wiped out the Gladiators. Overtime wick is ticking, is burning, and it's done! Boston Uprising, 3-0 victory over the Los Angeles Gladiators.
A lot of teams vying for that stage 1 playoff split. Boston says there's still room in that hat for our name, trying to write it in and toss it in. They're definitely in the mix.
Fantastic work from Boston. Dreamcasper and Striker, between the two of them, they have definitely been a deadly duo here. And well, it leaves Gladiators wondering, what next? What do we need to change here to have a chance on this 4th map? It will be the payload map. More opportunity for strategy, to try and change things up and try and catch Boston off guard. But they're going to need to come up with something big here going into the last map of this series.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everybody, from that very short and sweet break, because we have map 4 coming up now between the Los Angeles Gladiators and the Boston Uprising. I should actually, because I'm on the screen here, it's the Boston Uprising over here.
Yeah.
You know,
Giant
someday,
head. Ignore the man behind the curtain, right?
Someday, you know, that mirror thing, right? I don't know. It's all good. You doing well, Hex?
Doing great. And very exciting to watch how Boston just improved throughout the season. They look unstoppable right now. And, you know, people thought these teams were close. Boston says not so much. This is a statement set, definitely putting themselves in a different tier as the Los Angeles Gladiators.
Yes, yes. I mean, you were going to see, coming into it, it was really tough to read, you know, where were the teams going to fall, right, when it really came to the action, when it was not about scrims, but actual live matches where the results matter. And Boston, yeah, they're finding themselves up there in the top half of the bracket as far as these the competition is concerned. Hydration has been brought in now to sub in for Asher. So Asher, we only get to see him for one map.
I suppose, but he didn't have the greatest of maps anyway, but it's really hard when you have a Tracer on the other side, like Striker just dominated. Absolutely took over the last several maps he's been on. Top tier Tracer player. I just want to give another shout out to Note, his parents in the audience, from the basement to the Blizzard Arena here in lovely Burbank.
Transcending all memes and stereotypes. I love it. It is true, man. The progress made over these past couple of years. But this is it. And this is the final destination for this series, at least. Dorado, full payload map. We've seen it quite a bit now. We've seen a variety of strategies on it as well. And so it is a fun map to end this on. Not really expecting to see too much coming out of the Boston Uprising side in terms of, you know, changing it up. But Hydration, for example, we've seen him play the Doomfist on this map. We've seen some possibilities, at least in terms of, you know, variety for the Gladiators.
Well, Hydration right now, at least, is queued up on the Pharah, and that's where he made his name. He came up as one of the Pharah mains. That was his best hero by far. He's really rounded out his pool, actually. Since Doomfist got released, he was one of the few pros to play that, has made himself a very good Genji as well. It's interesting that we separate DPS a lot into hit scan and projectile, but Doomfist always falls into the projectile category. It happens you're not shooting projectiles, you are the projectile.
Yes!
You have to play it very similarly to a Genji, get yourself in and out of danger, and really harass the other team. I would love to see some Doomfist, if only because I love watching first-person Doomfist. It's the best animations of the game. You're punching people through walls. It's amazing.
I mean, like, it's nuts, right? Because Doomfist, I like to imagine him, you know, as a youngster at the circus, and he sees the clown launch himself out of the cannon. He's like, I can be that someday. And he gets to have a giant mechanical fist to do it with, too. I mean, this kid, every dream came true for Doomfist.
I think that's my dream now. I think so that's my next career goal, is to become a clown shot out of a cannon. I got half of it ready, just need the cannon going forward. All right, defense set up on the rooftops. Or, as always, tanks will do the awkward mating dance where no one ever dies, but everyone gets a little bit of damage in back and forth. This is it. I'm going to drop down, a little damage. I'm going to jump back up, and then my buddy Note's going to come down. However, the unexpected snipe from Nako's Ana onto Big Goose. That is brutal.
That's a big one. Big Goose, luckily for him, doesn't have to glide too far to get back into this fight, but that's sick to see the Ana, the versatility there at least. Managing to find a tough target as well at the start.
It's just demoralizing because one, it sounds weird when you get shot by an Ana. It makes that weird hissing noise, and then you're taking damage over time. It's demoralizing to die to an Ana on that Mercy.
It's terrifying as well. I mean, we're just naturally scared of snakes. Evolution, we got that thing for it, right? They used to kill us all the time.
Well, damage boost ults as well. Nako's almost got his nano boost ready. Very likely going to put it on Gamsu or Dream Casper here. Although you would like to have Casper have his ultimate, whereas Gamsu, if he can change that nano into more ultimate charge, Primal Rage towards the end of it, you don't want to Primal Rage while nano. Justice will raid for above, and all those dreams are dead, including Dream Casper.
So difficult to make that work, to get the perfect barrage, but Hydration showing just how capable he is on Pharah. Perfectly done, crushes the defense, the backline dead, and now Calyx is going to have a long glide ahead of him to try and get back in here, and it's not even going to happen. Boston Uprising. Will they be able to make it back in time to challenge the point? It doesn't look like it.
Hydration reigns from above indeed right there. Absolutely no chance for them to come contest. This beautiful angle taken. Dream Casper on the Genji now, transforming into full dive. Nako still on the Ana here. I wonder if that's to help out against the Pharah and Mercy, because really you don't have a pure answer for it when you're running a dive composition with two flanking heroes instead of a hit scan like a 76 or a McCree. She can chip in a little bit of damage.
Jesus, Hydration doesn't seem to be missing the mark much right now, though. He is hitting rocket after rocket, really keeping the pressure on. Bishu has got the self-destruct, ready to go, and look at that. It's the most horrible star ever coming at you, but they do manage to dodge it.
The black star, I see it coming. Bishu waiting with his own self-destruct, trying to get an angle for that one. They are pushed back to this point. Self-destruct can clear the rooftops, but very unlikely to get a kill as people can drop behind cover rather easily there. He wants to hold that for when they're around the bend, because up and over that bend is a very good self-destruct point.
Payload making progress now for Gladiators. They need to remember to keep a presence on here. Keep that progress going. Hydration looking for the knock, and he does get it in the end and follows it up. Nako caught out in the open and punished severely by Hydration, who has once again got the barrage. We'll see if he can manage to find it. Perfectly done, right on top. Nako gone once again in the blink of an eye.
Brought back only to die again. Some sort of purgatory hell for him right now as the justice continues to come down from Hydration. Big Goose has resurrected, has popped Valkyrie. Kelix will answer in turn.
Trading the wings, trading the reses. Kelix, his is worn out, but Big Goose as well. But right now, it's all Gladiators. The shields are definitely up and plowing forward. Boston Uprising don't really seem to have an answer.
Their answer is going to come in the next fight. Because they're on this Ana, they still have a Nano ready to go. Casper, a Nano Blade can be absolutely brutal. The issue is, Chaz has Transcendence. Transcendence is very good. A Nano Blade, though, sometimes it does enough damage you can cut down during some of that Transcendence, get people on the outskirts of that healing. That is the next big duel. Blade versus Transcend. The master and the pupil.
Oh, buddy, just goes for it. Transcendence is there. Sureforth Thor catches Kelix out of position, and that is huge. No Valk, no reses, no heals, and Sureforth continues to reign supreme, or at least to dominate in the back line.
He's playing a very good Tracer right now, one of his original heroes in all of Overwatch, and they will push them all the way back. No huge contest on that point because everyone's dead. Sureforth on a 10-player kill streak. He is putting on his fanny pack and trying to carry the team in it.
Oh, they fit. They fit right now, Hex. They have managed to make themselves small enough. What's wild is that Dreamcasper and Striker just cannot seem to find the opportunities to use their ults at all. Dreamcasper still holding on to that blade.
Well, they have switched off of the Ana now. No boosted heroes incoming for the next fight. Decided to go with more traditional support composition. More justice from above. No one brought an umbrella. Does only get the one, but stays alive in it, which is impressive in its own right when you use that ultimate.
That's the big deal. If you're just getting that one kill out of it, it sets you up to follow up on Striker. Could get the follow-up as well on a Dreamcasper who's finally used his blade. Right now, Hydration is just having a field day. 9 final blows for him, and Sureforth at 10. They have certainly woken up here on Los Angeles Gladiators' side.
This is where the dive defense struggles. It's very odd because generally you don't run a Pharah on this last point. It's kind of a small ceiling, it's a wide open space, not a lot of architecture to hide behind, but when you're feeling it, you're feeling it. And it's time for Los Angeles to go to their comfort heroes, go to their best heroes, where they made their names. Bullying back into spawn, looks for that angle. Oh, you tested the wrong man, Nako. Sureforth puts him down.
Dreamcasper, you can see finally getting fed up with Hydration, decides, okay, time to actually get some hit scan out here, see if we can deal with this guy. And that is eventually the turning point here for Boston Uprising. They finally repel the offense.
I mentioned you don't generally run Pharah here anyway. I think he was on it and just feeling it there. As soon as they come out with an answer, he's going to go back to a hero that is not as vulnerable in the sky. Another mind game switch. Casper was on that McCree for a little bit. Perhaps they've kind of seen that Genji has come out from Hydration instead, so Dreamcasper going to go to the Junkrat, which would be very vulnerable to the Pharah. So switches back and forth. The chess game continues.
On the fly, quick calls, quick thinking, and that's going to make the difference here in the end. This is the last map of this series. Remix makes a nice pancake out of Striker to start things off. Going to be feeling good about that one. Maybe add some bananas to it later as he goes for more, and they managed to pin down Nako in the corner. Backline is having a lot of trouble here, although the Valk has been popped, and so Gamsu will be brought back to life.
Winston would tell you he does not want a banana, but he will take peanut butter pancakes anytime you offer him up. Remix still going to town. Resurrections in this for the Los Angeles Gladiators, where Remix will die again. He had Primal Rage as well. Could have saved his life maybe to jump away from that.
There it is, the fadeaway shot, Nako. Not gonna let him get out. We will have a reset yet again here. Boston Uprising managed to hold. So Bishu, now they just toy with him a little bit. Never mind, Dreamcasper, he wants that kill.
You want to stagger him as much as possible, even though Baby Diva is not necessarily a threat. The longer you can wait on that kill, the longer the respawn and the regroup has to take place. We are under 1 minute. Very likely the last good push from Los Angeles Gladiators. They've got both tank ultimates, they're gonna have both DPS ultimates. The only thing they're missing is support ultimates, so Nako could transcend his team through this fight.
Just keeping an eye on it right now because Casper has got that rip tire. As soon as they get a bead, things could get a bit hairy if you are caught in the hallways with nowhere to go. And there it is, the golden opportunity here for Casper to completely ruin the Gladiators' push. Just holding out, spotting a target, and it will eventually find Shaz.
Some fancy drive in there, the juke, it looked like he was going away, so then he came back in. He says, nope, still here, still gonna get tired. Big Goose is going to resurrect Shaz, so that kill undone. Boston, though, with a couple nice kills of their own. Big Goose is nowhere near his Valkyrie. Kelix pops his own. Los Angeles needs a miracle for the City of Angels.
Sure for he's trying to provide it, but it's not long. He is definitely gone, and Dream Casper, that res couldn't have been better. Kelix with the hero play. They do manage to run a couple of bodies back onto this point though, Gladiators, but again, too many here for Boston. The focus fire, too effective. And that will be a solid hold at the third point here for Boston.
They ran into a literal minefield from Dream Casper, got 2 kills with those mines toward the end to shut him out. Some nice switching and counter switching going on there. The moment they realized the Pharah was out of the equation, that's when they felt safe to run Junkrat. The Pharah is the natural predator of the Junkrats, but sometimes he can still even die to that. Nice switches on both sides. And we'll see how Boston chooses to close this one out.
Come on, Hydration.
Looking a little beat down on the Gladiator side.
They've definitely been getting a bit of the short end of the stick in this match. Boston showing that they came in prepared, ready, and they've been executing. I was kind of hoping for Hydration to go for the Doomfist on the defense because we have seen him use it in the past. It has been effective in his hands at least.
One of the early questions with Boston was, well, they run dive, sure, but can they run anything else? And the answer to that question has just been in the name of Dream Casper. He runs absolutely everything. He's been able to flex strong enough onto the other heroes that when they can't run pure dive because there's a Pharah, he was on the McCree long enough to make sure that that Pharah was no longer a threat. And then beyond that, with how good Junkrat is, he can pick that up as well. You need a player like that on every team, that you give them enough versatility. You don't have to have a 12-man roster. You just need 6-man as long as one of those guys can play absolutely everything.
Well, there you go. You were making the point earlier. Same case for Surefour. Like Gladiators, they can rely on him to flex onto the different DPS roles given what they're dealing with at the time. And so this time he's elected to go for the Widowmaker. Glad to see the sniper in play here. I'm sure that Surefour is going to have a few chances to pop off.
I wonder where he wants to set up, because this shield is mighty tempting. The back archway, all the way in the back, is also good, but given that teams like to fight forward here now, that back archway is going to be your second spot. Surefour is going to try to get some pretty easy shots here early on, then perhaps he'll rotate somewhere else, but it does look like the defense, no, they do not want to fight out here. They're going to essentially give up first push. They want to fight in the courtyard. Surefour is going all the way back. He's going to be watching the left flank as well. And of course, you can't see it on your screen now because they're just giving up this card. You're not going to see them fight until the archway, at least.
Just a small detail there, but Hydration, he's clearly put in a little bit of work there to get the perfect junk grenade arcs, you know, so that they go straight in onto the payload as it pushes forward.
This is the area you want to watch, because Dream Casper knows that if they don't want to fight an arch, then Surefour is probably back here somewhere. And he's the guy who's got to go deal with them, at least pressure him down. Trapped and then cut down. Seemed like another trap where they set a new one up right away, so he got right through it. Surefour has put in some work, hits another shot. No, trying to get out with his life. Get halted, and now he's just eating it. At a certain point, it's fine to just die there as Baby Diva. It will be brought back to life as Pilot Diva. She will recall down her mech, get back into this fight.
A bit of a halt there. Again, what was fun there is that it provided a lot of healing, a lot of ulta charge for Kelix and Nako. And so you can see just no living forever, but getting healed forever as well.
Well, it's a great adaptation for Los Angeles Gladiators, because I was just mentioning that Boston likes to run dive, and they know that. If they had their choice on any map, they would run dive. Dorado's not all that great for it, but on the early part of the stage, it is, because you can dive into the vertical areas. In Courtyard, running a much more anti-dive composition works out better because of the positioning. You're in trouble there, Big Goose. Striker comes in for the finish.
Talking about the dive, there are some difficulties, but if you can manage to just cut off one of the key members for the Gladiators like that. Big Goose getting caught in the open and then forced into a corner. That wasn't pretty, but his teammates hold the line in the meantime, playing around that Orisa shield that allows them that survivability, to allows them to stay alive. Striker looking for him with the pulse, but he doesn't even need it. Hydration though, out of nowhere. Didn't even hear that coming, the target.
It might be the tire that brings them back. Now Shaz brought back to life as well. They are getting enough bodies on the point here. Bishu stays alive for the moment. He's getting dashed through right now. They have to be very careful. Bishu might fall. Note does pick up the kill on Hydration. Now they don't have to dance around random nades here and there.
Yeah, no unpleasant surprises at least. Dreamcasper, if he spots him in the corner, he can still commit, and there it is. He sees Surfar, immediately goes for the Dragon Blade. Big Goose out of range, and Big Goose has the Valk. Question of whether he's going to commit to it or not, because Dreamcasper right now is hot on his heels. Big Goose, he knows where you are, and he gets you in the end.
Nako again, 3 eliminations, cleaning up the scraps there. Really nice positioning from Dreamcasper on that blade. That is not the welcoming party that Short4 wanted to see. It's instant regret. You're halfway up in your grapple. You're like, oh man, there was a guy. He's got a sword. I'm not prepared for that. I didn't sign up for this.
I've got a sniper rifle. I mean, you're supposed to be on the other side of the map.
Not super effective at close range, even though it's got that, automatic fire ability. All right, Short4 has switched off of the Widowmaker. He's going to be on Soldier 76 now. Hydration moves over to a Genji to counter the other Genji on the other side. Boston Uprising, though, has banked up some ultimates. Can either one of them pick this Mercy here? A little interesting there from Striker. Surprised he even alerted the Mercy to his presence instead of going for the blink kill. Instead, he blinks a pulse bomb anyway. I'll get you later, Big Goose.
So sick, forces them back into the corner. He's playing them right now like a fine instrument. Striker just styling. This could be the difference maker though, because Shaz will get caught by Striker as well. And just like that, Boston Uprising, they're going to be able to make it through this arch into the open courtyard so quickly. Los Angeles Gladiators definitely wanted to stall them out a bit longer here.
The open space definitely lends itself well to Boston style. They want to dive, and they thrive in the chaos that the dive creates. Kelix and Big Goose both holding Valkyries. I'd be surprised if we don't see one or both here.
Yeah, this is going to be the big fight here. Gladiators, they need to burn time off the clock, and Big Goose doesn't hesitate. He doesn't waste any time at all. Pops the wings and gets into it. Kelix is there to mirror him, and so we will have those reses in play. Nothing comes of it from Note, though, with that self-destruct, and Big Goose, both reses going out. Hydration and Short4 back into the fight.
The tragic part for Boston is that they used their Valkyrie, but no one died during it. I mean, it's kind of not that tragic, but they didn't get the resurrections. Big Goose will fall to Dreamcasper's blade. Dreamcasper, a nightmare to deal with on the point. That is a team kill. Let's hear the horn. I think I spoke over it. I'm sorry. Spoke over the team kill horn.
Oh, I was just going to go for the straight up MLG horn, Air horn, Mountain Dew, Doritos, glasses, Dreamcasper. Somebody make it happen. Tweet at us.
I mean, he hit Oh Baby the triple right there, so it'd be very apropos to hit the air horn after that one. Meanwhile, 3 minutes left on the clock. Boston Uprising. Win condition simple. Finish the map.
Exactly right. Dreamcasper dancing on the edge, though. A little bit careful, but Striker is here to provide support, and once again, getting in between them, getting between the tanks and the healers, making life more difficult here for Big Goose and Shaz. Striker doing a fantastic job, then collapsing with his team to collect the kills. Big Goose is gone, and Striker continues to dominate.
Striker seems like he's got Big Goose on puppet strings right now. He's controlling where Big Goose goes. He knows exactly where he's pushing him, and he's made him play this very passive style, and that means the rest of his team is stuck out nowhere without the healing that they properly need, without the escapes given to Big Goose, and he has just made life miserable for the supports of LA.
Very curious to see, though, if the self-destruct here could be used by Note for a remake. It looks like he's going to commit to it exactly for that. We'll be able to get back into the mech as well, and this is big here. Note just going to be able to stay alive for Blink and Ever.
So close on this point. They just need to finish out this box pass. We're looking to do it with a blade.
Hacking him and slashing him, and there you go. The kill onto iRemix. Trance is not there in time to save him. And eventually, this should be the turning point, as there are nothing but squishies left. Big Goose once again gets overwhelmed by Note with the flyby. And Dreamcasper just gets to admire his handiwork. Bits and pieces everywhere as the payload pushes forward. And Boston Uprising close it out 4-0 over the Los Angeles Gladiators.
Putting some people on notice. Middle of the pack, nothing, says Boston. They dominate the Los Angeles Gladiators, who continue to mystify. After some close fights against some very good teams, they seem to have lost their mojo.
Now, that was a much closer battle in terms of the DPS elements. It's perhaps just where the fights took place, and we really got to see quite a bit of that from Striker, from Dreamcasters' perspective, but certainly Striker, just making it so difficult for Gladiators to hang together and work together in that Deathball unit. Well, now we're going to get to hear what the desk have to say about this match. Puckett and the boys, it's all yours.
Great job, Selmar and Hex, with the call there. And I wanted to give a real quick shout out. It's not just Note's parents in the audience. Apparently, Kelx's parents are here as well. Family traveling all the way from Denmark to watch the games. Pretty awesome support here in the crowd tonight. Boston walks away with the 4-0. And here to break down game number 3, we got Crumbs and Brent once again. Let's jump right into the Oasis highlights as we go into map number 3. We knew we were going to see some great Pharahs, but really, we spent a lot of time watching some of the tanks just mow down the Gladiator support line.
Yeah, in general, across the board, we were saying, you know, Note is one of these star players. They seem to swap Note and Kalios out depending on what kind of teams they think they're going to be matching up against. Today it was Note. We've seen consistent tank play out of all of them. Gamsu especially as well. The way that these two players on the Boston Uprising work together is especially impressive. That the fact that they've built up this synergy and this chemistry, despite the fact that they haven't actually played with each other before they were in the Overwatch League.
Just to point out, this highlight reel was just a never-ending barrage of killing the supports. It just never stopped, and without the supports to keep your tanks alive, everything from the Gladiators falls apart, and only Hydration's able to do a whole lot.
Yeah, we were having a conversation earlier in the season saying you look at Gladiators, they have some of the sickest supports in the league. Shaz and Big Goose could not breathe. They were constantly being suffocated from this Boston lineup, and that continued into game number 4. Now, we did see a solid attack coming from the Gladiators. 4 big fights, 4 big hydration wins.
Exactly. There were about 6 fights in this map for the Gladiators attack, and they won 4 in a row. But when it came down to the final push, Boston held on to many of their ultimates and were able to stall out the snowball and prevent the map from being completed.
And Bren, yeah, as we saw that final attack on the 3rd point, you were highlighting something that Boston did deliberately with the composition.
Yeah.
How did they stop the Gladiators' run?
So, notably, they saw that Hydration was making switches. He was making too much, having too much impact on the Pharah roll, so they switched it up to a bit of hit scan. They changed it. Dreamcast were playing the McCree for a short while. That shut him down. That forced Hydration over to the Genji, but again, they were making switches all over the place. He moved over to the Junkrat, and it's just this constant game of cat and mouse throughout these matches, and it's interesting to see Boston flexing their adaptability a little bit during that last map.
If you're like me and you're a one-trick pony back at home, watch these games back and look how Boston realizes what the opponent is bringing on DPS and countering it. They did a fantastic job, and that helped them lock up the final game of the night. Boston gets another big win, and that is a massive impact on our standings. We'll get to that in a moment, but first, we have to crown our player of the match, sponsored by Omen by HP. And sadly, it's not another tank. Instead, it's Dreamcasper, who showed us everything. 5 different heroes from this man. And coming into game number 4, I was talking to our stats wizard, Captain Planet, in the back. He said, Dreamcasper's played 5 heroes. When you look at the top 6 in damage per 10 minutes, he has 4 of the top 6 positions.
Crazy.
He is just so efficient in this role.
This guy's just a walking highlight reel. Pretty much every game, he's always in contention for player of the game, win or lose. His performances are consistent. His hero pool, incredibly relevant and viable. And what else can you want from this guy?
No.
And he's the leader of the team.
Yeah, you can't ask for much more than that. The guy puts on a performance regardless of what hero he plays on, which is more than you can say for some of the players in the league in general. That's what makes it most impressive, is that his consistency across the board. And that's honestly for the entirety of Boston in general. They're just a consistent team, and they seem to know sort of and tailor their dive, their strategy towards the teams that they're playing in the future.
Hey, Dreamcasper, shout out once again. He is our player of the match, sponsored by Omen by HP. That is going to do it for our final match coverage, but we have to look back at the day as a whole. It all started about 8 hours ago, it feels like. San Francisco Shock going up against the Mayhem. This is a battle between 2 squads at the bottom of the leaderboard trying to climb. The Shock, a decisive victory. They win it 4-0. Our next match, though, was arguably the best match we have had so far all week long. If you missed it, go back and watch the VODs. Seoul versus Houston. Linkser wasn't in the lineup, and you have to wonder just how much closer would this series be. It already went to a Game 5. How much closer would it be with the Finn at full strength? And there you saw the final result. Boston up over LA. Gladiators seeming to have some troubles here tonight, Bran.
Absolutely, yeah. And we highlighted the issues really with this team being consistency, I should say, being one of them. I feel like if they clean up their act a little bit, especially in stage 2 when we were on a different patch, it started to look a bit better.
Gladiators, they've pulled off some massive upsets, but now find themselves behind the Shock in 9th place. Boston holding on to that number 7, but it's the left side of your screen that you want to focus on moving forward. Who are going to lock up the final 3 spots in stage 1? We have $125,000 up for performance bonus matches at the end of the stage. Tomorrow, the action kicks off at 11 a.m., so set your alarms right now. It's the Shanghai Dragons going up against the London Spitfire, but I know a lot of people are excited for that Dallas Fuel New York matchup, and you have to argue, Boston, are they informed to take down the Valiant this week?
That's the game that I want to see, Boston versus the Valiant, because they're still a little bit shaky, but being so dominant today makes me think that they actually are ready to take on the Valiant, and I would not be surprised to see them upset them. At this point, they could upset anybody, and you wouldn't be surprised because they took down London.
Well, Boston, congratulations on the win tonight. Go celebrate with your families and get some sleep. That is going to be a huge matchup to close out week 4. We want to thank everyone who tuned in online, and of course, everyone in the venue. If you're still here in the Blizzard Arena, hang out. We got our teams coming out for some autograph signings. For everyone else, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time, 11 a.m. We kick off tomorrow morning.